Absolutely,
Hmm?
absolutely. I just want to
But
say that before going, I wanted to say that I will be back, just like the Terminator.
okay, you may as well say it then. Go and say I'll be back.
I won't go. I would rather say that.
No, no, I'll be back. Not I won't go. um,
Okay.
I was just saying to the listeners who are listening now and who will listen to this on Instagram after this session that they'll find the edited version without the 10 minutes, that it takes to connect on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So do listen back and do subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Please help me in promoting homeopathy around the world. Your help means a lot.
Absolutely. You're doing
Samir, it's
great work.
absolutely wonderful to have you on. Now, I know that recently you've been to Dubai, haven't you, for the Ayush conference?
Yes.
Do share how was that experience? And I believe you presented a paper there, or
Yes. The experience was absolutely excellent and a great experience. And uh, maybe there were some 5,000 papers, and out of that, our paper was selected. My paper was selected, so I was the lucky one. And it was great to see so many Indians and so many Indian homeopaths from the nooks and corner of all over India. So I also had my friend Ashar Sheikh also there. He also presented a paper there,
that's
and even
right.
Dr. Batra was there. He's our mentor and our chairman of Dr. Batra's Academy and Dr. Batra's Healthcare.
Mm.
So we all had we were lucky to get a chance to talk at such a nice podium and a nice dais where so many great people were there. It was a great experience.
So, what was your paper on?
My research nowadays, especially, is on role of abuse in pregnancy leading to autism. Now, regarding autism, I've been working on autism for the last maybe 15 to 20 years, and I've been seeing around 100 to 150 kids, more than that, in Istanbul, Turkey, where I have a small clinic where I see kids
Mm.
there, and also in UK, US, Malaysia, Australia. So autism has been increasing like a pandemic everywhere, and you
Mm.
get to see a lot of these kids with varying amounts of autism from mild to moderate to severe. Lots of kids.
I know that this is obviously not the first time that you're going to be coming on, so we are going to have a three-part special series on autism for the listeners and those listening back, and that will be very soon. And just keep abreast of the situation through my Instagram, which is where all these promotions go out and the notices for new podcasts and new episodes of Homeopathic Voices. But today we were going to talk about remedies for acute conditions. And I know that you're very passionate about that, and you have great experience and wisdom as far as treating acute. So I'll let you pick, but do share your knowledge and do inspire us on remedies for everyday common ailments that we may come across.
Yeah, I mean homeopathy. Homeopathy doesn't. It's not as effective as in chronic problems. But I have seen that homeopathy acts much faster than any other allopathy or any other system in acute problems, and we have seen excellent results in cough, colds, fevers, especially in children. The results are excellent. The only thing is, what we need to do is have a keen observation, as Dr. Hanneman has said in Organon. We
Mm.
need to observe what's right in front of us. And it is not only the physical complaint that we should look at, but also the state, the mental state of the patient when he comes with that physical complaint. So, for example, if somebody comes with some maybe running nose or a coryza, if you look at him and he's kind of quite impatient and he says, "Oh, doctor, do something immediately. I need to take care of this nose because I have to go to my office tomorrow." So this is the mental state of that person. On the other hand, somebody would just come and say, "It's okay. I mean, it's just a cold. It will go away. Don't worry. Give me some medicine and I'll be okay by 2 3 days. I don't care." So these two are two different states of a person, two different people suffering from the same problem. So if we just give it on physical ailments, remedies like allium cepa and arsenic alb and all those remedies can come up. But if you look at the mental state of the person during this acute problem, you could all either think of nux vomica or you could think of belladonna. So the mental state of the person is also very, very important. It's not only the
Mm.
physical complaint. So look at the PQRS symptoms. That's what I would suggest.
So do give some examples of that. Let's say a child, let's say an adult comes with a runny nose, and maybe he's slightly feverish, but very, very slightly. Not something you could class as a fever, but let's say he shares with you that, I feel a bit feverish. What are the different type of mental states here? For example, a few examples would help the listeners.
So it is how he perceives his state is very, very important. The he may be complaining of cold coryza, or he may be just complaining of some acidity, or he may be complaining of some gas problem in his stomach. But how he perceives his problem, I'll give you an example. There was a man. I was at my clinic, and he came around maybe 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the evening, and he came running, and he was with his wife and two children also. And I did not know who was the patient because all of them entered inside, and the wife said, doctor, please see what happened. He was just having his dinner, and he got this chest pain, and he's so scared.
Mm,
He did not even wash his hands properly, and he just took all of us and he said, let's go to
mm,
our doctor. And we all came running to you. And I asked him, okay, tell me, sir, what happened? What's your problem? He said, doctor, I was eating my regular dinner, and suddenly this pain came, and what it could be? Do you think it's a heart attack, doctor? Do you think I will die? So this is how he was talking about his complaint. So he may be having XYZ complaint, but the way he was speaking was, the first thing was that he got something which he never had experienced in his life
mm,
for the first time. So I took the rubric astonished because he was surprised. He did not know what it
mm,
was. Another symptom that I took was that he came running to me all the way, bringing all his family, so clinging to all those who are near. So he was clinging to me, and he was saying, "Doctor, only you can help me. Please do something for me. I don't know. Do you think I should do some investigations?" That's where I took the rubric light desires for, which means he wanted some light. He wanted some knowledge about his disease, and based on only these three symptoms, I gave him stramonium, and I told him, take one dose of 30 and just sit outside and tell me how you're feeling. And lo behold, in 15 minutes, not even 15 minutes, within the first 5 minutes, he came inside and I said, doctor, what you gave me, I'm feeling so nice. Now that problem has gone away, the chest pain is not there. I will go back home now. Bye bye. And that's what he did. So this is how he perceived even a simple gas pain. A man perceived as if he's going to die. He started clinging to those people around. And a remedy like stramonium, which we normally think of only, in hallucinations and delusions and all those things, a stramonium remedy only in 30 potency helped the patient. So it was a classical case.
I smile because I just love homeopathy. As everybody knows, now. Thorough, I walk and talk homeopathy, but it's just so beautiful to hear these true, like true stories of healing and cure. Because these simple, they're not simple, but let's say for a homeopathic doctor, certainly the rubrics are there, and you choose certain rubrics, and the remedy comes to life, doesn't it? Literally, if you know the remedy and you know its traits, you know its profile, its signature, it comes to life. And one dose sometimes is enough for a cure, right? How amazing
Absolutely.
is that? I mean, that's why I'm smiling, because it's just, I love it. I love these stories. Please do
Yeah.
share some more.
We actually don't require many doses. I mean, in acutes, of course, yes, many a times you need to repeat. In fevers, you need to repeat.
Mm,
And my experience in fevers and especially in COVID was that we gave a lot of LM potencies. In LM1, LM2, diluted in water every 15 minutes, every 10 minutes, till the fever went
mm.
down. And LM really gives good results. 50 millisimilar LM potency really gives absolutely good results without the fear of aggravation. So many a times in acute conditions or even in long-standing skin problems, which we fear that there could be aggravation, we usually start with LM potency, giving them more frequently without a fear of aggravation. So LM has been doing a lot of good work.
I've also found that LMs are amazing for mental health and emotional imbalances, because the patient doesn't even realize, and so gently and beautifully and smoothly,
Absolutely.
their state is restored to how it should have been, or should be. Um, are there any specific potencies you use with LMs, or do you just work up?
No, I start with LM and LM1, and then maybe if the patient is doing well, then I might jump to LM3, LM5. But usually I will go from LM1, LM2 for 7 days, 15 days. Until they do the good work, I continue. Once the good work is stopped, then I raise the potency. That's how we do.
That's quite interesting, because I use that approach. LM1, 3, I go odd numbers always. I've
Yeah.
just found they work better. That doesn't
Yes.
mean they do. All the LMs are brilliant, all whatever potency one decides. Personally speaking, I've just found a 1, 3, 5, 7 seems to
Yeah.
just work much better for my patients anyway.
One more
So,
case I would like to, when I was talking about perceiving and looking at the PQRS symptom, how we looked at how a stramonium person perceives his disease. Now there was another patient, one of our friends who was treating him, and this patient came up with a gangrene of the toe. Okay, now that was kind of something serious. He came with a gangrene of the toe, and when asked questions, he said, "Oh, I still have sweets. I like sweets a lot, and I eat sweets every day." And I said, your blood sugar is around 350 postprandial, and you have a impending gangrene of the toe, but still are you taking it? He said, yes, I take, and I don't like somebody telling me that you eat this or you don't eat this. And I said, what do you mean by that? He says, I will eat whatever I want and I don't care what happens to me. So now, what would you think about this patient as? He was kind of careless. He was kind of frivolous. In spite of having a serious ailment like a diabetic gangrene, and the toe was about to fall off, and it was an impending gangrene. This guy did not have the seriousness of following the diet. At the same time, he was quite defiant also. He said, I don't care. And he was kind of defiant with the disease. He said, whatever happens, I am going to eat. And he was a person who liked sweets from a particular shop. He said, this shop makes the best sweets. And always he had a habit of going to best restaurants where the best things were there. So I took three rubrics. The first rubric being frivolous, because he was kind of non-serious. Second thing was defiant, because he was defying his disease. Third was gourmand. He had a very, very, specific taste of eating. So gourmand was taken,
which
and
one?
based on
Sorry, I
that,
couldn't hear you there.
gourmand, gourmet, gourmet.
Okay.
So the rubric gourmand in the repertory in materia medica, it means that they like all the the best things, whether it is in dressing, whether it is in the music, whether it is in the food. Based on that, I gave him a few doses of mercury. Now imagine mercury is a remedy which will think of a lot of impulsive and destructive and suicidal and homicidal, but this man did not have all these symptoms. But based on only these three symptoms, just like the herring's three-legged stool, I gave him Merck 30, and the thing was that his gangrene, impending foot, got cured. That was a very, very important. So it's one of my best cases that I have. And I have some good pictures. Maybe some other time I'll share with you
You
about the pictures.
know that this reminds me, Dr. Farooq Master was on the podcast very recently, and excuse me, and I remember many years ago, maybe over 20 years ago now, actually, Dr. Master came to the UK and he delivered a lecture and he was talking about cases and remedies. And it was one very small, I remember that lecture because it was so profound. And he said there was one small rubric which he chose from a plethora of rubrics for the remedy carcinosin. And
Mhm.
it's very similar to what you're saying. And he gave one dose and the patient was fine. Everything was brilliant. So it's fascinating indeed. Now, you mentioned something for those students perhaps that tune in, and I know that certainly after the live, a lot of people listen to these Insta lives. You mentioned PQRS, so please explain for the students of homeopathy your thought process and usage of that. I think it's very important coming from you.
Yes, PQRS, as Hahnemann said, PQRS means peculiar, queer, rare, and strange symptoms. I mean, Hahnemann always said, even he says in his organon so many times, that first of all, in the disease, you should know what is curable and what is
Mm,
incurable. You should try to find out the common and uncommon symptoms. So, whenever a patient comes to you and talks about the symptoms of his disease, I remember there was a teacher of mine when we used to, sit in his OPD. He used to close his eyes and sit down, and the patient was talking about his symptoms, talking his symptoms, and then he would suddenly get up and say, "Arey yaar, say characteristic symptoms. Don't tell me common symptoms." The patient did not know what a characteristic and what common, but this was a learning to us that what are we interested in the disease or in the patient is what he says, which is different from his disease. So a patient of pneumonia coming to you talking about chest pain and fever, high fever, and sputum. All these are common symptoms of the pneumonia.
Mm.
What I would be interested in, which part of the lung is affected, or what is his thirst, what is his type of fever spike, how is he in fever, how is his activity in fever. These are the questions that I would ask the patient, and these are the peculiar symptoms that will lead me to the simillimum. Are we getting it? So
Well,
that's how it is.
now it's for certainly for the students of homeopathy, it's important to inform them that this comes with experience. Once you see patients day in, day out, and you get experience, it's not something that can just come about in the first session with the first few patients, because very much it's to do with observation and then,
Yeah.
that approach and your mindset. And it's all about training. And but you're very fortunate, of course, that any homeopathic students in India are very fortunate, because there's such a huge opportunity to practice homeopathy openly, safely,
Yeah.
and there is no, uh, sadly or happily, whichever, there's no lack of patients. People need help. Everybody is sick. You and I, and everybody else on the planet. We all go through illnesses, ailments, and we all need help. And yeah.
So these PQRS symptoms, I mean, even Hahnemann has said that when you look at the patient, that's why he has said knowledge of the disease. He talks about in the aphorism number 3 that what does the homeopathic physician need to know? And the first thing he says is knowledge of the disease. So if you have the knowledge of the disease, you can easily, take away symptoms of the disease and look for the symptoms of the patient. And if you treat the symptoms of the patient and not the disease, I'm sure you will reach to the simillimum faster and you will give good results. I'm sure about that.
Absolutely. Do share any more if you have any other acute cases with maybe children, or
Yes, in
young
fact,
children
just
that.
yesterday I saw a child. It was an autistic child, and being autistic also, this child was quite cunning and manipulative. That was something which was strange. As usual, all the mothers of autistic kids, they talk about autism symptoms, and I have to really educate them and tell them that please don't tell me symptoms of autism, tell me the symptoms of the child. And this mother started talking that the child is very cunning, the child is very manipulative, you know. And then I was thinking of remedies like tarantula and thinking of remedies like tuberculinum. But at one point, she says that she even likes going into the sea. And her sleep position was also on the stomach. And she was a very, very active child in the night. So, based on these three rubrics, I thought of one remedy which is called medoranum. Now, medoranum is a very, very important remedy which I have seen in autism and in many small children for a lot of acute problems, also even nocturnal
Mm.
aneurysms. So, a child of nocturnal aneurysms was there with the same kind of symptomatology, and I gave few doses of medoranum, and it worked. So these symptoms of medoranum, the peculiars are: the first thing is lying on the stomach. Second thing is craving for green sour fruits, which is very very common in these
Mm.
children. Third thing, these children are quite hairy. Remember, the mother is going to say that when he was born or when she was born, there was a lot of hair, which is the of
Mm.
psychotic miasm, you know. And of course, going at the sea is very, very important, and craving for oranges and cold drinks. So, based on these, I gave Medoranum, and they are night people. So, even if you read Vitulkas in his Materia Medica says that they are people of the night. These children, they are kind of drowsy and sleepy in the day, but they are very, very active in the night, and they'll really not sleep up to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. They are very, very active. So based on this, I gave her Medoranum, and it was an absolute marvelous, kind of a prescription.
Brilliant. Where you're based in Mumbai, isn't it?
Yes, yes, I'm based in Mumbai.
And
Yes,
your clinic, you said there's another clinic I know you mentioned in Turkey.
yeah,
Actually, a big shout out to School of Homeopathy Turkey, who have
yeah,
just joined. So
yeah, yeah,
welcome to the School of Homeopathy in Turkey. Um, so you're based in Istanbul, is that right?
yeah, yeah. I'm making. I see patients in Istanbul. I see patients in Ankara, Antalya, Izmir. There are many other cities and small states in Turkey.
Oh, nice. Maybe one day. I've just recently returned from Turkey, from Istanbul, but maybe next
Beautiful,
time
beautiful
in the
city.
summer I can come and see you there. It'll be nice.
Absolutely. So Istanbul is a very, very beautiful city. It's a very, very beautiful city.
Beautiful.
Lots of water around, and it's full of life, a very, very vibrant city, and it's like my second home. I mean, my first home is India, second home is Turkey.
Now, Dr. Samir, do tell us about Dr. Batra's academy, because you are the dean. Is that yes? And you're the
Yes.
dean there. And do explain to those who may not be aware what Dr. Batra's academy is and what it does.
Okay. Now, basically, Dr. Batra's clinics is a specialty chain of clinics all over India, and we are also based in London. We are based in UAE, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, and there are around 200 plus clinics all over India. And we started Dr. Batra's academy, a homeopathic academy, in 2015. The then Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jamkar, he was an oncologist, but he was a very pro homeopathic guy, and he gave the permission for these fellowship courses. So these fellowship courses we first started in dermatology because we have a lot of huge database of skin patients and hair
Mm,
patients in Dr. Batra. So we started with the fellowship course in homeopathic dermatology, which is a 1 year course, and which has around 150 hours of theory lectures and 300 hours of hands-on training. And all the BHMS, whoever is a BHMS graduate, whoever is a homeopathic graduate, can apply for this course. And it's a course which is kind of equivalent to MD skin. So still we don't have MD in skin in
mm.
homeopathy. So this is kind of a course which gives you some equivalence of a MD in skin, though it's not totally equivalent. This year we just started with two more courses: certificate in oncology, certificate in respiratory, and certificate in cosmetology also. So we have totally four courses in the academy.
And you are you involved in teaching at the academy as
Yes,
well? You're
yes,
very
absolutely. I do a lot of
hands-on, aren't
teaching.
you?
Yes,
You're
yes,
very
absolutely.
hands-on.
One,
It's so good.
teaching has been my passion since last 30 years. In fact, I started my career in 1992 when I joined the homeopathic college as a professor, and I taught there materia medica. I started, in fact, teaching physiology, pathology, surgery, and later on, when I left the college, I was the head of the department of materia medica. So I was teaching there for 15 years, and now in Dr. Batra's, I'm the dean since last 15 years. So overall, 30 years of experience.
Wow. So good. You're an amazing homeopathic doctor, I must say. Very, very good.
Thanks to friends like you who are always best, they shower best wishes, and friends like you who are always there around to support you and motivate you to do the best.
Thank you. I was going to ask you about teaching because you teach around the world, don't you?
Yeah.
So, are there any particular subjects? I know we are going to cover autism, as I've said, in a
Yes.
follow-up series, special series just on that, on my Insta Live, Homeopathic Voices. But is it mostly predominantly autism, or do you do you teach about other things as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah, I mean, I have also done my post graduation in addictions from Canada in 1992, 99 and 2000. I was in Toronto and I did my 2 year postgraduate diploma in addictions.
Mm,
And after that, I was also attached to one de addiction agency as an addiction counselor and a homeopath. So, addiction has been my primary interest before autism. So, I have taken a lot of seminars and have presented papers all over the world on addictions and homeopathy. So how homeopathy and counseling can also take care of alcohol and drug
mm.
addictions, and also process addiction like gambling, and even internet, and now the gadget addiction in children after COVID. I mean, most of the children are getting addicted to
Mm.
gadgets. So we see a lot of children with homeopathic application in addictions also.
It's very much becoming a pandemic, isn't it? Addiction, and
Absolutely, absolutely.
it's very worrying as well. In fact, you mentioned gadgets, and we'll go to the drugs in a minute. But with gadgets, I found that people have become so unsocial that there is this feeling that they do not want to mix, they don't want to socialize, and that's
Absolutely.
really really negative for the future, because if we're not going to talk to each other, we're social creatures and humans, if we're not going to talk to each other, we're not going to be able to bring out the best in one another, and also actually truthfully to be able to knowledge to be able to learn, rather not knowledge, and gain knowledge and then progress in life. We can't do it alone, is what I'm saying. You can't sit at home and do everything. It's not possible, is it?
And gone are the days when we were, when I remember our childhood when We used to go out and play cricket and play
mm,
games, and we used to be outside. We used to look forward to finishing our homework and going out and playing. And now you see children who just want to finish their homework and go back to their gadgets and their laptops, and so the whole thing had changed, and we really need to motivate and support our children and our future generation,
mm.
and make them feel importance of outdoor games and playing outside rather than being inside.
Now, on top of that, the other thing to this addiction is, of course, drugs, narcotics, whatever you call it, in different shapes and forms. Even you could say energy drinks are a type of drug because some people are not able to start their day without that sugar rush, that with
True.
and caffeine rush, should I say? But they are so full of chemicals that it does so much damage at a young age. And when you're young, you very much think that you're invincible. But it's only when you get to about 40 and then later years that you find it's catching up with you, your health catches up, and the damage that you may have um, incurred manifests itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So then once you get addicted, it really is difficult to bring them out of this addiction.
Mm,
And with homeopathy and counseling, we have seen that really people do change, people do start taking responsibilities, and they do start getting averse to the drugs and the substance also. But a lot of support is also required from the family, as well as people around, the friends around, because availability is always there. You get drugs and substances everywhere around the market. The availability is very easy, but the most important thing is to bring that person out of the denial, because the addict always feels that he doesn't have any problem. Like a man who's alcoholic who would say, it's not my problem, it's my wife who is a problem. I drink because my wife is creating problems for me. I drink because I don't have money. I have problems in the office. So they tend to project the problems here and there without realizing that the problem is within them.
mm.
And that is where homeopathy really helps. After the homeopathic simulacrum, we have seen that the person starts taking responsibility of his own behavior, and then it becomes easier for him to kind of move away from the addiction.
What's the state in India? Are you as far as addiction is concerned? We know that drugs and narcotics is a big issue within the United States. As we see various news reports and even in the UK, it's not that straightforward. It's becoming a big issue, and so is violence. Actually, to be honest with but what is it like over there in
In
India?
India also, if you see in the lower strata as well as in the very upper strata of the society, you see these drugs, because drugs and alcohol you don't see in the middle class, because in India the society is like the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. So the lower class, the people who are not very educated, who don't have enough money, they would be more addicted to substances which are easily available, which are cheap, something like marijuana, cannabis, all those things, right? While the upper class would go into pubs, and the youngsters are going to pubs, they're dancing there, they are having substances, they are having LSD, they are having cocaine, they are having all sorts of things. So the thing is that according to the strata, even nowadays cough syrups are many times easily available, and small children and even youngsters are getting addicted to cough syrups.
Interesting.
So cough syrups, they contain codeine and they give a kind of a high. So in between, I hear that in our region somewhere there was a big racket of cough syrups being given to youngsters, and they were easily available. And now they have taken some stringent. They have made some stringent rules about buying them over the counter. But few years back they were easily available over the counter, and a lot of young children got addicted to cough syrups also. So
I think
that's how.
it's specific, actually. I must say it's not specific to any country at all because this
Yeah,
is something
exactly.
just common for wherever you are in the world,
It's
isn't
a
it? And
pandemic.
depends
It's a
on
pandemic.
so many
Yeah.
factors as well. It's not just you can't pinpoint to one factor, it's just the way certain things are. And of course, I think one of the most important things here is the accessibility of it and the control
Yes.
of it, wherever you are. So much needs to be done. So you must be seeing quite a lot of cases wherever, here and wherever else you practice. as far as addiction is concerned. Huh?
Yeah. But addiction, as we see, that we require more of a residential treatment rather than a OPD or outpatient
Mm,
treatment, because outpatient treatment would not be really effective. So till the person is really, happy to stay 3 months or maybe 2 months in a proper indoor facility,
mm,
where it's not only the homeopathic treatment but also the counseling, and then the journal writing and meditation and yoga, and it is a multifaceted program, because physical de-addiction is very very easy, but problem is the mental de-addiction.
mm,
So in that stay of 3 months, the mind has to be de-addicted, not the physical, because physically you can get de-addicted by getting yourself admitted to a hospital and putting a IV line, and probably you will get flushed off all the chemicals from your blood. Okay, all your alcohol and all your drugs will go away. But what will happen to your brain? Who will detoxify your brain?
mm.
That is very very important. And that detox of the brain can happen only in a residential facility. So that is very, very important.
So, what else are you up to, Dr. Samir Chaukkar? What's on the horizon? I know you've just returned from Dubai, obviously presented a paper,
Yeah.
and what are you up to over the next several months?
The next week I am in Ankara. Ankara is the capital of Turkey, and I have a group of pharmacists there. They are all allopathic pharmacists, but they are interested in homeopathy. And since some maybe 6 8 months or a year, I've been going regularly to them and I'm educating them in homeopathy. And this time we're going to talk about homeopathy in acute. So we're going to have a every 3 months we'll have a module of homeopathy in acute. This time we'll be discussing homeopathy in respiratory problems.
Mm,
So cough, cold, tonsillitis, sinusitis, all those things. How homeopathy can be, we were talking about a PQRS symptom. So, what are the PQRS symptoms? For example, if you think of Kali bichromicum, you have to have the lumpy yellow discharge, without which you cannot think of Kali bichromicum, which is very, very important.
mm.
So, similarly, many other remedies. So, you need to know the PQRS. So that is what I'm doing. Next week, I'll be in Ankara.
Wonderful. Are you going to be writing any books?
I have written a book on
Ah,
comparative materia medica. It is
really?
published by BJ Publishers, and two of my books, one autism and one is addiction. They are in the pipeline. So probably the beginning of this February or March, I'll be releasing those books.
And the book that you've written, do give the title
Sorry.
for those listening and those will listen back.
It's a comparative materia medica for students, where I have compared all the remedies in respiratory sphere, in the gastrointestinal sphere, and the characteristic of the book here is that I have taken taken references from all the source books like Hahnemann, Allen's, Timothy Allen's, then Hahnemann also, and I have put it at the back of my book as an index for an ready reckoner. So every symptom, which the symptom which coming from which source book. So that is one
Oh, that's
added
something interesting.
kind
Has
of.
that been done before? I don't believe
Uh,
I've seen that.
No, I don't think it has been done before, because every symptom I have kind of, put a bracket and I said, okay, this is written by Hahnemann, this is written by Kent. So
That's
when you're
interesting.
reading, where is the symptom coming from, which is the source of the symptom.
And those who are interested to purchase or find out more, where can they go?
I think it's available on the
Okay,
Amazon. It's available on the Amazon. It's available even on BJN Publisher. So BJN has a
brilliant.
website, so it is available there.
Good.
It's a ready reckoner. It's a bedside prescriber for homeopath. So I'm sure our homeopathic brothers and sisters, they will surely use it if they can know, get hold of it. Maybe.
And finally, for today's session, when are you coming to the UK so I can give you some nice chai?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, other day we were in Dubai, and there was a restaurant and they called it Kadak Chai.
Hmm.
So that was really nice, and it wasn't as Kadak as in India, but when I go to UK, one thing is sure that I see, at least I am also a gourmand. I find out the best restaurants, the best Indian restaurants, and I usually have the Hyderabadi biryani or something like that. So I'm always in a lookout for good food. I'm a foodie person basically.
You know, in
So
my hometown, there are at least 10 Karak chai places.
absolutely
In fact, on one road, there are three.
fine.
And for the UK, that's unusual because businesses are not that, it's not that populated in the sense that you can have multiple similar establishments, But hey, and it's literally just down the road.
Next time for sure we need to have a kadak chai together.
I think we'll have karak chai and something much more as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Samir Chaukkar, it's an absolute honor to have you on. Thank you so very much. And like I've said to the listeners who are interested, we will have a 3-part special on the role of homeopathy in the treatment of autism, and that will be very, very soon. And just keep a watch out on my Instagram at @like_treats_like, and that's where all the official trailers and the videos for this, alongside the podcast that I do as well, go out. So, and there's a lot of guest videos on there. Dr. Samir is on there as well, and especially for the Indian audience, Dr. Rajan Sankaran has been on there, Dr. Sharanelli, Gaurang Gaikwood, Dr. Farooq Master, and so many more. I can't remember them all, but do subscribe. And Dr. Samir Chaukkar, again, thank you so very much, and I look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon indeed.
Thank you very much, Atik bhai, and you're doing a great work, and I'm sure that you're doing a great work for homeopathy. So please continue this work, and whenever you require any support from India, we are always there for you.
Thank you so very much. I'm grateful to you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
take care
Namaste.
then. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye bye.